Big mistake a lot of people make, not only do they get poor quality fat sources or poor quality meats, right, grain fed, things like that, but also they'll oftentimes do more of a higher protein diet rather than a high fat diet. The brain runs really well on beta hydroxybutyrate. And in the brain, so not only does it provide fuel, but also it helps increase levels of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic growth factor, which has a positive effect on neurogenesis. I'll tell people to do anywhere from like once a week where they have a higher carb meal to sometimes like every day or every other day. And usually I tell them in the evening hours, right? Because it has a positive effect on lowering stress hormone, producing serotonin and melatonin, things like that. So a ketogenic diet, if listeners aren't really familiar with that, is really a high good fat, low carbohydrate diet, right? And the benefit of that is it helps to improve insulin sensitivity. So in a sense, you get your blood sugar down, right? And insulin, we know, is a pro-inflammatory hormone. High blood sugar can be extremely damaging to all the cells of our body. However, high insulin also promotes inflammation. So by getting insulin levels down, that's a critical factor with ketogenic diet. And then ketones are actually a preferred fuel source for your brain. So your brain really runs well off ketones. So it's an alternative fuel source to sugar and actually allows you to go long periods of time between meals, helps create, in a sense, a level of metabolic efficiency where the mitochondria within the cells upregulate. So it's called mitochondrial biogenesis. Your body's able to produce more ATP energy through the electron transport system, and in a sense you just become a lot more efficient. And so that's a phenomenal physiological state to be in. So it's something, in a sense, it's a goal that I have for all my clients, is to be able to experience that. Cellular autophagy, where you're starting to break down old, dead, decaying cells and starting to, in a sense, your body just starts to build new, healthy, stronger cells.
Hello, my name's Sandra Miller, and I'm a certified health coach and nutritional therapist. And in 30 years, I don't think that I have ever been as excited to share a topic as I am today. Today's live webinar is all about the low-carb, high-fat tsunami that is sweeping the country, and for some very good reasons. People are reporting improvements in appetite control, sleep, mood, memory from numerous symptoms that they could never seem to shake. People are noticing fat loss with muscle gain, and so much more. The ketogenic primal paleo movement is so evident on social media today, and it's made celebrities out of people just like you who've had enough and are fed up with not feeling their best, despite eating low fat or going gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, taking supplements, and many other manipulations to their diet and exercise strategy. They took that leap of faith that science was correct and began eating a strategy that's heavily steeped in criticism and controversy, and ended up finding a winning strategy for optimal health and abundant energy. Whether your goal is just to find a solution for eliminating hunger and cravings, or blood sugar responses, improving your fitness performance and results, or tackling a health challenge, we all want to just find something that works. Tonight, we will share the most up-to-date science on what we feel is that strategy. Have you ever tried to diet and work out? You get really hungry, right? What would it be like to sail through a workout at the gym without having to stop for a snack before you make it home? That snack was not often part of the plan, but hunger got in the way, and the calories you just burned off are back with you in a matter of minutes. Many people here tonight won't even be able to relate to going to the gym. Go to the gym? Are you crazy? I just worked all day. Does this sound familiar? There are also too many people like myself who had terribly challenging health issues that made my daily existence just miserable. But unfortunately, exercise was my job. I was a personal trainer and an exercise instructor. I couldn't use those excuses, but it was a struggle on many days. Now I run circles around most people half my age. That was until I found that eating strategy out of necessity that turned out to be a panacea for everything I was suffering from. And today I want to share the new low-carb, high-fat eating strategy, all the latest science behind it, and why so many people are choosing to live a low-carb, high-fat lifestyle. You're going to learn today why this strategy is exploding and people are getting results that fly in the face of conventional wisdom. And if it's good enough for NBA teams and other professional athletes, prominent doctors and researchers who actually not only live by this strategy, but they're thriving and sharing their successes. We're going to be busting some myths tonight about high-fat diets and their effect on health markers like cholesterol, and also cover what dietary ketosis really is and how to get into the native zone. We'll even show you the latest science on how to do it in just under an hour. The most accurate way to test for ketones and why your dipstick could be lying, what foods may be ruining your attempt to keto adapt, and much more. And then afterwards, we'll have a short Q&A so that you can ask some questions yourself. So hang tight, let me bring on the boys and let's get this party started. This webinar is intended to provide reliable information, but it is not intended to diagnose or treat any condition, and none should be inferred. No material in this webinar should be used in place of guidance, direction, or treatment derived from a qualified professional and should be used for general informational purposes only. Sandra Miller makes no representations or warranties express or implied concerning the suitability of this content for any individual or circumstance. Liability is the sole responsibility of the listener, and the author absolves herself from all legal responsibility and liability. No blame should be held against the author for any monetary loss, punitive damages due to the reliance on this information contained herein, whether directly or indirectly. Hey guys, sorry for that little bit of a delay. We're all just trying to coordinate our schedules. We are so excited tonight that we can't even think straight. First of all, let me tell you what we have in store for you tonight. I'm going to bring on my guests first and foremost, and then we're going to go into a short video and the science. I'm Sandra Miller, and I am Sandra Miller of biohackingwellness.com, your health coach and a GPS for your DNA. And trust me when I tell you tonight, I am not going to be letting you down. The science that we are going to share tonight is absolutely cutting edge. And we are very close to some of the people on the cutting edge. So we just want to share it with you because everybody has something that they could make better. And we are going to help you with that tonight. I think everybody will be pretty happy. There we go. One down. One down, one to go. This is Eric Friedenberg, and he's going to be on the call with us tonight. Eric is a former athlete. He's a football coach, and he's a keto lifestyle promoter. He's living the lifestyle that most of us that are on this call tonight are sharing, Eric, myself, and Dustin. So hopefully Dustin will be with us in a second. So Eric.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Really excited to be with you guys tonight. I hope that Dustin doesn't have too much trouble. It looks like he might be getting in there, but I'm not sure. So anyway, Eric, tell me a little bit and tell everybody a little bit about your story with the ketogenic diet. How did you learn about it, and kind of where you came from and where you are now?
Where I came from is I was a college athlete. Grew up playing sports all throughout my life. Never really needed to care about nutrition. I was always out exercising, having practice, working out, that kind of thing. Got into college, got hurt, kind of had to look for alternatives to stay in shape without being able to work out. Most of those weren't successful. It was always just, you want to lose weight, you cut carbs, eat as much protein as you want. Just kind of the 30-year lie, basically. And come to find out now and through education that too much protein is going to turn into sugar. And just actually make you even fatter. So about 4 months ago, I was introduced to this by a trainer friend of mine, just from hey, you want to lose some weight, drink this, from an appetite suppression. And got involved and really kind of dove into the keto diet, and just from talking with Dustin and meeting more and more coaches and getting more and more educated, just seeing how successful everything was as far as low carb, high fat, and just how your body feels and how your body reacts to that. And over the span of eating clean and eating healthy for 2 months, I was able to lose 45 pounds thanks to Dustin and kind of getting educated from him. And Dustin, welcome in. And
welcome, Dustin.
Intro on Dustin, but Dustin is as Sandra said, an MAT specialist. He is a former recon Marine, college athlete. He's been a health and fitness coach for over 15 years, and he's actually had to do the hard part of the keto diet for the better part of 15 years. And I'll let him speak on his story a little bit. But
Dustin, you and I share the same history, the same story. Yep, but I want you to tell yours, because then they'll know what mine is, right?
Absolutely. Well, welcome. Thanks for having me on. And so yeah, my kind of story started in coming out of high school. I went in the military. Went to a recon unit and just was excessively active, pushed my body to the limits. Left there, went to go play college football. Within 2 years, I was no longer able to really use my legs anymore. My knees wouldn't bend, they wouldn't function, and I was told I needed both my knees replaced by the age of 24. And it wasn't soon long after that, I was still struggling from all the head traumas that I had from the military and playing football for my whole life. I actually had lost the use of left side of my face, had a hard time with cognitive function, couldn't ride on amusement park rides, back cars. So I was just struggling with a lot of things. By the age of 26, I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And so I kind of had this huge trifecta. The brain wasn't working, the body wasn't working, and my thyroid wasn't working. So life had hit me pretty hard, pretty fast. So I went from this elite level to basically just barely getting by life, and I had to make a decision, to try to get my life back. I went to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to doctors to try to find out answers, and it was too complicated. It didn't make sense because I was too young. What do you do with the 24, 26-year-old that needs knee replacement? So what I did is I stumbled on this type of diet, eating clean, eating low carb. Started out with paleo diet, but unfortunately it didn't get me, I felt better, but it didn't get me healthier because the healing wasn't as rapid, and I needed to get healthy fast. So I moved into the ketogenic lifestyle, spent $200,000-$300,000 educating myself with the leading experts in fitness, wellness, nutrition, and basically started coaching this. And as I got better, I was able to teach more people how to get better and teach people how the behavioral aspects of making change in their life can dramatically change your life forever. And now, 15 years later, I have my life back. I can run, I can play, I can do about anything I want to do. I look good, I feel good, and I really enjoy this process. And then having a technology to go along with it just makes it really special.
Yeah, well, you're doing hurdles up and over the stage at events. It does. You sound like a male version of me. It's crazy how our stories are so very similar. And you also had fibromyalgia, and you're a man, which is kind of unusual, but that was part of your situation as well, right?
Well, when I was struggling, they didn't know what they didn't even know. I mean, because fibromyalgia is one of those situations where it's just your inflammation in your system. They don't really know what it is. Like everything just doesn't work and everything's hurting. Yeah. So when I was younger, when they were looking at diagnosing with me, I mean, I got diagnosed with they were looking at Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, IBS, thyroid, Hashimoto's. They were looking at. I traveled the world, so I've been in really unique parts of the world. So unique parasites, which I did get diagnosed with a few of those, and but at the end of all that, the only true diagnosis that I can legitimize is hypothyroidism, which is Hashimoto's, an autoimmune disorder, chronic arthritis, but not rheumatoid arthritis. So I needed 13 surgeries. When I left college. I only elected to have one, which was experimental. And I got diagnosed with severe head trauma, so I've had multiple CAT scans on my brain because of the amount of trauma I've had to my head and the cognitive issues that I've had over that time frame. So those are the diagnoses I had, but I'd been tested for and suggested I had all these other things, but who knows? All I know is all the things are gone away.
Yeah, that's all that matters. And that's pretty scary. I mean, there's a lot of information out there now about how traumatic head injury can have really serious negative consequences later on in life, especially if we don't really take care of our brains or we don't know how to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And that leads us to the ketogenic diet. So for a minute, I just think that if there anybody out there that can sort of relate, you might remember the Atkins diet. But like I said, this is not the Atkins diet that you remember. So Dustin, tell us a lot of information that we can kind of make sense of about how the body changes fuel and why this is just a much more efficient way for us for our metabolism.
So the idea of being in ketosis is not new. I mean, we can look as far back as Socrates, as far back as the Egyptians. They actually use a state of ketosis from a fasting state for treating things. So it goes back a long ways. And then more recently, the last couple hundred years, they've actually looked at using the same style for treating illness. But the most recent research comes from the early 1900s using kids with epilepsy. And it's actually sometimes called the epileptic diet, is a ketogenic diet. And what they found is that when you have ketones, and then there's so much research after that. I mean, around the same time they started using the same diet for bipolar and schizophrenia, and so they're using a high-fat, low-carb diet with a moderate protein, which Atkins was more built around this concept of high protein.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, if you weren't super, super, super active and you weren't able to burn off the sugar that was created by the protein that was overly consumed, you didn't get deep enough into ketosis to get the therapeutic level. So they actually have changed Atkins, and Johns Hopkins University is doing some work with Dr. Volek, who I've been consulting with, and I don't know if you got to meet him, but I got to have dinner and stuff with him.
No, Dustin, only you
a couple weeks ago, and they've been working together trying to make this modified Atkins, where the protein isn't super high, the carbs are still low, and the fat goes up. Because what ends up happening is that when ketones are present, for these kids with epilepsies, it would relax their mind, and their most seizures would be treated. But then they started, the researchers started seeing all these other benefits of it. Well, if we go back far enough, most of our existence, our ancestors were in a state of ketosis at least when they woke up in the morning. So they spend a good portion of their day, and I believe a lot more than even just when they woke up. I believe they spent a lot of their time in a state of ketosis. And there's a lot of research that's showing the benefits of this. There's receptor sites for beta-hydroxybutyrate in the cell. It's like it's supposed to be there, not never be there. And
so, I don't want to interrupt you, but when you're finished, I do want to kind of let people know what beta-hydroxybutyrate is, because for some reason my little video didn't work tonight after everything worked perfectly, in testing. But that would have been what we would have been sharing, is what beta-hydroxybutyrate is. So can you do that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's three main ketone bodies that are excreted when your body eats fat. So if you reduce your carbohydrates or you go into a fasting state, your body will consume your own fat tissue, and the main byproduct is beta-hydroxybutyrate. And so that's the one that we get the most boost from, the most energy from, and the one that we're talking about the most, because that's where the science is really focused on. And so beta-hydroxybutyrate is basically a byproduct of your metabolized of your own fat tissue, and it's extraordinary what it can do and what it does inside the system.
Definitely is. So for anybody that doesn't really understand the terminology here again, that when your body is typically running the way most bodies run, you're running off of glucose, right? That's your energy source. And if you were a vehicle running on gas, you would always have to fill your tank, right? So that's kind of the downside of glucose, is that you always got to fill the glucose tank. And for any of you that are exercisers, you know that exercise just makes you more hungry, so you're constantly eating. The more you're exercising, you're constantly having to fill that tank. When you switch over to where your body's burning fat, it creates 3 different substances actually, and the one that Dustin just mentioned is in the blood. But if you did the Atkins diet and you peed on a stick, well then that's a different substance you're measuring, still in the same family but just in a different form because it's coming out of the urine. So there's several different ways that we can test for the presence of ketones, right? And would love for you to share that if you would.
Yeah, I mean, the three main methods of testing for ketones is one, the urine strip. This is the most common, is the urine strip. I like to tell people that it's like measuring how much gas you have in your gas tank by measuring your exhaust. And so it's not super accurate, but it will tell us that it works and that there's ketones present. And it can indicate that there's more or less ketones in your system, but it's not really accurate, especially after 3 or 4 weeks. The other way of doing this is through blood, which is my favorite. You tip your blood, you put it, it's almost like a glucose meter, a blood sugar meter, and you can just measure your ketone levels that way. That's by far the most accurate. And then the other one is a breath meter, which I'm working with and consulting with some new experts on coming up with new technology around this. Dr. Dom actually talked about it last weekend about a patch they're working on that will actually measure your ketone levels throughout the day. So there's some new technology. I see this being a big industry down the road because they're realizing the benefits of ketones and what they're going to do for the human body and the human optimization. And so those are the three main ways that we use it for measuring ketone levels.
Okay. So now that we know how to measure it, and I'm a biohacker, so everybody should be measuring their glucose. Let's just say that. Everybody should know what their glucose is, and if you're in ketosis, you definitely should know where your ketones are, because those are the answers to all your metabolic questions. Those two things right there are going to tell you a lot. So now that you know what it does, let's talk about what it does when you're there, when you're in the native zone. And I have to say, I love that term because that is so spot on in terms of where a human being is when they are in ketosis. They are in the native zone. You can feel it. We're going to talk about all the wonderful things that you feel in that zone. So let's talk about some of the benefits of being in ketosis.
All right, Eric, do you want to answer those? Or do you want me to do them?
I mean, I can touch on what I've witnessed personally.
Why don't you say some of your benefits, and I'll kind of amplify and elaborate.
Okay.
Well, I think a big factor in what a lot of people get involved in researching for is a lot of people have weight issues, and which is that, I mean, that was what I was searching for. I wasn't happy. I didn't feel good. So I got into this. And so I think the fat loss is a huge one because that is what you're doing. You're using your own body fat for fuel. And on top of that, when you cut those carbs out and really increase the fat and get into the keto lifestyle, I have never in my life had more clarity in my mind, more energy in my body. You just feel 100% better. And the anti-inflammatory to it. I just think there's not another way to live. And Dustin, I know you've personally witnessed a whole lot of things as well, but I think the big part is just the mental awareness, the clarity. It's just a whole different way that your brain is fueled, and I just can't get enough of it.
Right. And I think that's something that everybody experiences ketosis a little different. I think it all depends on how messed up you are before you start, really. I mean, Dustin, you and I were a mess. We had every body system was all out of whack. But, Eric, you did it for sort of different reasons. And because I had already lost my weight, I did it to control insulin because I was somebody who had to eat literally every 2 hours. I was a slave to my blood sugar, even though I was eating low carb, because this kind of ties back to what you said before, Dustin, about how, if you're eating too much protein or if your ratios are kind of off for you personally, you're not going to get the results that you would get if you, kind of play around with those ratios and maybe have less protein and more fat or, something to that effect. Everybody's going to be different. I think that's kind of an important thing to state if it's not obvious.
Absolutely. Everybody's going to be different, and what the benefits can be different for everybody, because when you start studying ketones and what it does in the system, we can go from top to bottom, right? So you have ketones become a very much of a primary fuel source when the brain's under any type of stress or trauma. So it amplifies the effect. It still needs some glucose, but ketones can be a very vital fuel, and they absorb through the blood-brain barrier very easily. So you can get such a clarity, and that's one of the things that I've noticed is people's mental clarity goes up. Like for me, it's like the colors outside are different.
Yeah.
So but you also have the natural anti-inflammatory effects of ketones, and a lot of that can be inflammation in the brain. So I like to talk about the kind of the head down. But now as you move down your body, if you're dealing with inflammation in the shoulder joints or inflammation in the knees or the back, you're going to notice an improvement on the anti-inflammatory effect. So you get the reduction of inflammation plus the improvement of cognitive function. And the cognitive function is not just giving energy to the brain. We're looking at it actually can have a direct impact of neurotransmitter function, which you start looking at, when you start looking at neurotransmitters, you might see a difference in addictions and other components. That's why I see people quitting coffee or quitting drinking because they just don't crave it as much because they're being fulfilled in other ways. And then if we go down a little bit further and we look at the muscle tissue in the muscle body, is that the body gets stronger. So the ATP production goes up in a state of ketosis. The body can work at a higher capacity, and not only that is that you utilize less oxygen for the same amount of work. So you recover faster.
And
recovery also
means energy, and that's what we want. You know, I think so many people have a dysregulation in their energy system, and I think the biggest takeaway is that this is a metabolic shift. When you make this shift, it's a metabolic shift, and it affects all body systems. It affects hormones, it affects your brain. Like you said, if you go from the top down, your brain, your hormones, your outlook, your skin, one state of being can make all of those changes. And now, look at the science that we were just so fortunate to have laid upon us 2 weeks ago, right? We were in a conference at the first grouping and conference, it's called Keto Academy, where the doctors came together and they shared the science on ketones, on being in ketosis, and in all avenues. So for cancer and anti-cancer therapies, for the brain, which we were just talking about, for metabolism, weight loss, insulin function, those, you know, all avenues, and sports performance, which is Eric's field of, you know, you're definitely noticing a difference, Eric, in your performance, I'm sure, right?
Oh, absolutely. You have more endurance throughout your workout. Like I have noticed a significant difference in that. Also, you feel stronger. You just feel like you can kind of go all day, and that's definitely something. Whereas you kind of get 30 minutes run off the glucose. Once it was out, it was kind of just, okay, do I need a protein shake? Do I need a protein bar? Like, I need to get something else in me to finish that workout. Being in this lifestyle, since you're tapping into your fat from an energy source, you have plenty. Everybody does. Doesn't matter if you're stick thin or a bigger guy like me. Everybody has fat to run off of and really utilize that dual fuel. So your body's not only running off glucose, at the same time it's running off fat, which is why we're able to see that strength increase. We're able to see that recovery increase. And Dustin's had the pleasure of talking to a few more people than I have, but the clinicals that
I was just going to mention that. I would love to hear what Dr. Wilson has to say in that realm.
Oh, yeah. He is a smart guy, and I know, Dustin, you've been able to hang out with him and Dr. Lowry quite a bit. And
what can you tell us about what you've learned from Dr. Jacob Wilson?
You know, Dr. Wilson and also Ryan Lowry they're on the cutting edge of something really neat and new, because what they're doing is they decided to leave the research world and move into the application world. And we need them both, right? So we need Dr. Dom, we need Dr. Bullock, and we need Dr. Seyfried, we need Dr. T. We need all these other researchers to validate it from a clinical perspective. And it's not very often that you get this much validation on around the same topic from these experts. But Dr. Wilson they're taking this science and saying, okay, what do we do in the human body in all areas? How does it impact day-to-day life? You know, so when you look at the production of an athlete and their output of energy, it's extraordinary. Like, and I've been seeing this for a long time. Is literally they're able to do so much more in the state. But what happens, which is cool. I mean, then it gets great when you have a marathon runner or Olympic lifter lift more weights or run a little faster. Great, maybe that's life-changing for them. But what happens to my mom? What happens to my mom who needs, so this athlete gets a 2 to 10% improvements in performance. Well, what happens to my mom? She's getting 20 to 30% improvements in performance. Like, it's different. Her whole life, I mean, she gets to enjoy her life in a whole other way. Right. It's truly life-changing in a way that's unfathomable. So they're testing those things, looking at it globally, and I think that's what's really special about what they're doing.
That's amazing. If you wouldn't mind, Dustin, take a minute and just kind of go down each road of what each doctor really brought home in that talk, so people understand how many things we're really talking about here that living a ketogenic lifestyle can help you do. Now, before we get into that, though, let me just tell you, in a few minutes, we're going to be sharing how you can get the benefits of all of this without necessarily following the kind of lifestyle that the three of us have been for. I've been doing, low carb, higher fat for about 14 years too. So, the one question that I get, people will say, if I could just do one thing to make me feel better, what would it be? And I always say, ketogenic diet. Well, what does that entail? And when I tell them, they're like, oh, I can't do that, So when we talk about these benefits that, we feel we're experiencing, you're going to be able to share in that, and we're going to tell you how to do that. So, Dustin, give us some bits and pieces from the conference, if you would.
First off, I just want to thank them for, number one, engaging me and letting me be part of that group and get to introduce them and go to dinner with all of them. But starting from the top to the bottom to the top, I guess, is Dr. Wilson started the show off, and I think his big lesson is that ketones are muscle sparing, is they protect your muscles from breaking down. And that was very vital. And I mean, he talked about performance, he talked about human optimization, he talked about these technologies that are coming out, these exogenous ketones that you can take to get yourself in a state of ketosis, and how he is helping formulate this product called Ketosis and taking it to the next level. But if you think about the muscle sparing part of it, is who wants to lose muscle mass? I don't care if you're an athlete or if you're an aging person that wants to maintain longevity. You want to maintain your metabolic system and your muscle system. It's vital. And then we moved on to Dr. Volek. So Dr. Volek is somebody that I've gotten to know very, very well, and he has the most vast knowledge on ketosis, from world-class athletes that he's done it to military services, to people with metabolic disorders. When I was at his campus in Ohio State, they had cancer patients on the ketogenic diet doing research, and he was vast. And the message that I think I got from him the most, he does a lot, right? Yeah. And I like that guy. We're working on some research with him right now, and he also mentioned the muscle sparing, but he tapped me on the shoulder and said, every athlete on this planet, anybody that's had a head trauma, needs to get ketones in their system as soon as possible. They need ketones in their body.
They do.
Because they need to do the ketogenic diet. The problem is they need to take them 2 weeks to get them in their diet, or it could take up to 2 weeks. So they really need that. So he really kind of hit on this brain function, that the brain works better, it feels better in ketosis. He's been in ketosis since 1993. And then we moved to Dr. Dom, and Dr. Dom needs no introduction. The guy he's the father of exogenous ketones. He basically came up with the concept of bringing in therapeutic ketones to NASA astronauts, to Navy SEALs, and helping them with seizures. So he touched on that. He talked about how the science behind preventing seizures with exogenous ketones is vital to our own nation's security system, military system, but also how it can impact and affect so many other parts of the human body. Once again, going back to the brain. Angela Poff, I think she won the event, if you were to vote.
Hands down. Our jaws were on the table, Dustin, the whole time. And yeah. I'm sure that you're going to explain to us why we were so excited.
Yeah, she's a wonderful lady, and I actually told her, I go, you're going to get famous here soon. She didn't realize it.
Man, real quick.
She's so quiet. We're going to make her, she's going to make a star. But she's actually an advisor for us, and she touched on cancer and looking at how ketogenic diet, and I also talked with Dr. Seyfried. He wasn't there that weekend, but Thomas Seyfried is one of the leading experts in cancer treatment with the ketogenic diet. And she was talking about how cancer with the ketogenic diet is very successful in slowing it down and reducing the tumor sizes and helping these people, but also helping them not feel bad during chemo if they're doing traditional therapy. They feel better. Right. And then she brought in, well, if you bring in exogenous ketones, you take your ketones with the diet, the results were even better. And then if you tie in a little bit of oxygen therapy, it was dramatically like night and day difference of what the results were getting. But she kept it really down to earth, clean. She's a very well-spoken, intelligent woman. Yeah, and then we finished it with Ryan Lowry, and Ryan is somebody, he's soon to be a Dr. Lowry, and he's just young, ambitious, and wants to win.
Yeah.
He's savvy. He is, and he's going to cut the edge. He's challenging everybody's out. He's challenging every other company that's selling crap on the internet, saying, let's prove that. Why is that so effective? Or is it just another vitamin? Is it just another protein shake? Right. Or can we do this better? Can we take it to a level that it hasn't existed and can make people's lives better? So that's really the big takeaways from that weekend. And the researchers couldn't have thanked us enough. They were so excited about the energy we gave. They were so excited that people actually wanted to listen and participate in their knowledge and information, because most of the time they get hit up by other researchers that are trying to prove them wrong. But the science is pretty clear what they're showing.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, they were talking about how they never usually get applause. So I think it was probably really, they felt like superstars. I mean, for me, it was like, you know, it was better than Elvis. I was so excited, and I was on such a high. And I think that the thing that was the most exciting, there were 2 really loud applauses in the room. 3 mice, and the first mouse was, and I've got these videos, everybody, up on my personal page, Biohacking Wellness Facebook page, and the Ketophile Nation, which is right here, Facebook page. So if you go here, you can get linked to all of them, but I'm posting the video right from this conference so you can hear this science for yourself. And what they were doing was they were using what's called exogenous ketones, which we're about to get into a discussion of right now, in these mice. And it was just amazing to see what these did. Dustin, tell us what you thought from that. You know, what was your takeaway from that?
Well, you know, it was pretty powerful. It's not the first time I got to see that, and I got to talk to Angela. Her and I did dinner after her talk that night, and it's extraordinary, because when we realize what technology we have, and now we can't make medical claims, and we're not on here to make any medical claims by no means. Research out there is really showing that there's something to this, and it's cheap, and it just doesn't cost a lot. So. And it's easy for anybody to do, but that's just one of the benefits. But, you know, it was very jaw-dropping, because I've lost a lot of people. Almost my entire family dies of cancer before the age of 63. So my mom, since 1998, she got diagnosed with cancer. By 2003, I had her on a very low-carb diet ever since. And she's been on a low-carb diet ever since. Now, we've taken it way further over the last year, because we've had new technology that can take it even further. And her life has improved dramatically, because I knew the benefits and what glucose can do to feed cancer, that I needed her to get away from that, because the likelihood for her cancer coming back was very high, and the risk from a family aspects is very high.
Right. Well, that science was pretty clear to me. I mean, the takeaway that I got from it was I felt extremely validated in the way that I've been living for 14 years. When I tell people that I eat a high-fat diet, they think I'm crazy. They're like, what are you talking about? That's dangerous. You're going to have a heart attack. You know, I have an HDL of 100. I have absolutely no small dense particles, which if your doctor is not doing the right cholesterol tests, you guys probably have no idea if your cholesterol is really putting you at risk or not. And high-fat diets do not cause heart attacks, strokes, or all of those things. It's inflammation. So really the anti-inflammatory properties of being in ketosis are extremely beneficial, and for this reason. But the cancer cells, they showed, don't metabolize, they metabolize glucose. They suck up glucose, but they don't metabolize ketones. So literally, if you're eating a diet like that, you would only be led to one conclusion, with that it would be an anti-cancer strategy, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And from what they've been showing, and Justin's had the privilege of walking through Dr. Dom's facilities, and I'd still want to make it up to Tampa to make that happen. But just from the standpoint of, and there's articles out there that that we can send you guys, but just to see that the longevity of the mice that they are ingesting and testing with cancer cells, I think one of the studies was 103% life expectancy increase. And I just want to take it one step back, actually, before we keep going on this, is the whole glucose is just junk food, candy, fast food. There's never been so much in the world, which is why I think and Dustin and Sandra can agree with me, but there's never been so many medical issues. There's never been so many obese issues. And Dustin, if you would just touch on that before we go into specifics, but then if you would also touch on exogenous versus endogenous, just so people have an understanding.
Yeah, I mean so you want me to touch base on like the epidemic that's happening? Is that I
think it's important for everybody to understand. And then when you're saying exogenous ketones, just what do you mean by that compared to endogenous keto lifestyle specific?
Well, I think we just look around in our societies. Like, I live in Southern California, and people hire me all over the place to consult for them, or clinics or doctors will have me come in and consult for patients or situations where they can't figure out what's wrong with people. And what's funny is that I live in Southern California where everybody quote unquote is healthy, but yet they all have a lot of problems. And I'm like, what's missing? There's all these things that are missing, and it's simpler than that. It really is. And and we look around society and we just see abundance of processed foods and sugars everywhere. And my passion is really with kids, and I think a lot of people say that, and it really is, and I think a lot of people's passion are kids. But when you feed them, I have a video I shot on a hotel room, or out of a hotel continental breakfast, and just look at the food that's available to them. It's all sweet-based. It's all sugar-based. Now, it may not actually be sugar, but it's everything that turns into sugar in the body, and that needs to change. And so for me, it's really creating a community to teach people they can be different. Food can be different. It can be enjoyable, because people are dying young, getting sick young, and not enjoying life young. That's just not the way it's supposed to be. You feel bad later in life, you're going to feel bad, but don't feel bad when you're 20. Don't feel bad when you're 18. Don't feel bad when you're 12. Don't feel bad when you're 30 or 40 or 50. Wait till you're 150. And I think that's the way it can be. Technology and science is different. We should be able to feel better. We should live longer, but also live life longer. People are alive for 80 years, but they're not living life after 60. Why? Because their body metabolically is not functioning very well. So with the technology that's out there, we have these luxury and ability to put something called exogenous ketones in your system. We've been talking about endogenous. We've been talking about doing a diet, a lifestyle, where you cut all carbohydrates out of your diet, you do fasting, and you tap into your fat stores. So if you ever watch Survivor, you notice that they shrink and get skinnier over the first 2-3 weeks of the show. That's basically ketosis. That's endogenous. It's your body making your own ketones from your fat tissue. Exogenous is ketones that you're taking from the outside and pouring them in. In the situation that we're going to discuss, it's about drinking exogenous ketones. It's actually ketones. And there's a little bit of something called MCT in there that can increase your ketones it can process in your liver, which is found in coconut oil.
Yep. Now, trust me when I tell you, I tried it the hard way first, because in order to get, just so that you folks understand where we're coming from, typically the standard American diet was about 65% carbohydrates, 25% protein, perhaps the rest would be fat. And fat was always, you're always told fat was terrible. When you eat a higher fat diet, to create these ketones, you have to eat the right amount of protein, not too much, enough but not too much, just lots of veggies, very little fruit, if any, and you're eating the majority of your diet in fats. Now imagine that. What would you have to eat to get all those fats? You'd be eating butter, coconut oil, bacon. It's really kind of hard to just keep spooning coconut oil in to get yourself into the place where your body's constantly having that raw material for those ketones. So I don't know anybody that really wants to give up a lot of their food. So this is really an opportunity for people to be able to take the benefits of the lifestyle, and I think Eric said 103% longer. So we better feel better if we're going to live that much longer. So tell us a little bit more about this product.
Well, we just recently, it's a year ago, about 3 days ago, a good friend of mine who I met in birthing class walked into a gym that I was consulting from with clear baggies of white powder, and basically walked in. And keep in mind, they were clear bags. They weren't even like formal bags. He went like this, and I go, "You got them?" He goes, "I got them." Took our first dose of exogenous ketones, therapeutic level, 0.5 millimolar or to 1 millimolar. 3 months later, 2 months later, we basically opened the doors and we were able to start shipping out the first ever exogenous ketones. Now they were just white, clear label. They didn't have any, they didn't know nothing on them. And then 3 months later, on September 1st, we actually turned the company on and we went live. And we brought out a product called Ketosis. So it stands for Ketone Operating System. And spending that many years, instantly when I took the product, within 15 minutes, my brain just lit up.
Yep.
It was like I was way deeper in ketosis. Now, when I peed on the strip, and I took a blood meter, I was at 0.7 millimoles, which isn't bad. I mean, it's still therapeutic.
Yeah.
An hour later, I was at 1.7 millimole, which is a world of difference. The therapeutic effect just takes off, and you just feel like you want to go conquer. We used to say
yes, I want to be killing it. It is a world of difference.
We used to say it made you feel superhuman. Now we just realize
it does.
But it just makes you human. We're supposed to be this way.
I know.
Right?
It's silly.
So basically, exogenous ketones, or Ketosis, is the first ever exogenous ketone, therapeutic ketone supplement that's ever been brought to market. The science and patent on this product was formulated from the University of South Florida with Dr. Dominic D'Agostino and his team that developed technology for the Navy SEALs. And we got our hands on that patent. We formulated the product. We did change a couple things. We made it taste better, made it all natural, so that it was a better consumable health product for the whole country. We call it a functional drink. It's a functional drink. It has a purpose, and the purpose is measurable. You can measure it. Anybody measures it. I guarantee you'll have ketones in your system after drinking this within an hour. And I think that's what makes it special, because all those benefits we talked about, people can now get without having to do an strict extreme diet. Now, in my career, I helped 1,500 people get healthy in my career. It's not bad. It's not horrible. Mm-hmm. In the last 9 months, it's 30,000 plus.
Yeah.
And so that's life-changing. Now, my goal is 1 million people. I want to help and affect 1 million people with improving their health and wellness. And I think we're on a good mission to do so.
Yeah, I think my goal was 10,000, and when I opened the Biohacking Wellness website back in October, and I said 10,000, and now with the ability to have this tool to give to my clients, 10,000 is a drop in the bucket. I mean, I can clearly see myself being able to help so many more people with this, because when people asked me, what's that one thing, they weren't able to take my advice and run with it. Now, what's that one thing? You open up a can of LaCroix, pop in a Ketosis, there you go, you're set for the day. You just made your entire existence better. And I have to tell you guys, I really want to thank you, Eric Friedenberg, because Eric sent me a text. He didn't know me from a hole in the wall, and he just sent me a text, probably because of something that I posted. And he just said, hey, you're talking about this ketone stuff. You might want to look into this. And I was doing a webinar with Dr. Stephen Masley when he was launching his book, Smart Fat. It's all about that today, guys. If you haven't already gotten that message, then fats are not what you think they are. They are the best thing, and ketones are the best thing that you will ever experience. It is an experience. That's what it is, this product. But he said to me, just check it out, So, of course, I'm a nerd. I know the science. I've been doing this for 14 years, but I didn't know the latest science, which I've been privy to lately. So I went on the website, and, testimonials from people that I was very familiar with. Jimmy Moore, Maria Emmerich, whose cookbook we're going to give away tonight in just a minute. But, all of these people were saying, hey, I'm this person, and this is outstanding. This is amazing. Like, this is the most incredible science that's come down the pike in a really long time. Would you disagree with me on that?
Absolutely not. This is cutting edge in a place that we can't fathom. I mean, nobody's experienced this. Everybody needs ketones in their body to feel better. Everybody needs it in their body to enjoy life in a way that they just don't even know. And if there's one thing that you ever had to take, that's it.
That's it.
You just read off the back of the benefits of this product, and these benefits are ones that we got from the field. We didn't just make this up. We didn't even base it on the research. We validated it with the research. The research will tell you all this. But this is what everyday people were telling us when we had them do a 3-month private preview. Fast sustained energy, reduced brain fog, increased awareness, increased focus, appetite suppressant, assist in abdominal fat loss, strength gains, better mood, decreased inflammation, better sleep, better digestion and gut health, clear skin, and fat loss. So these are the and there's more than that. I mean, people's vision. I have a lady last night, her eyelashes are longer.
Oh my goodness. I mean, and how much would all those supplements cost you if you had to purchase individual supplements or things to do that?
Yeah, you can't even put that. I mean, it's funny because I always say that, like, what would be worth to you if you just slept better every night? What would that be worth to you? I mean, it's crazy. What would be worth to you if you were calm and relaxed, if you didn't overreact to situations? What would be worth to you if you never had that conversation in your brain of, ooh, I want that piece of chocolate, but I shouldn't eat that chocolate, but I want that chocolate, but I shouldn't eat that chocolate, but I want that and then you're like, then you eat the chocolate, then you feel guilty for it. What if you either never craved the chocolate, or you had a little bit of the chocolate, and you didn't feel guilty because you didn't, it just didn't care as much.
Yeah,
because you're calmer, you're more relaxed.
Want it, you know? You just thought you wanted it because you were used to doing that. It's a habit.
So it was like there's no guilt. It's just a weirdly dynamic thing, and that's why I tell everybody needs this product. Everybody needs to try this product and get the benefits of ketones, because I've devoted my life to that. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning. I charge quite a bit of money for people to hire me to teach them how to do the diet. And so I believe in it, but I've seen it change people's lives in a way that people can't even fathom. From 2-year-old kids to 95-year-old ladies to world-class athletes, stay-at-home moms to CEOs of companies that just want to make more money and work more. So all these people can benefit. Everybody always asks me, can this person take it? Can this? Yes, yes, yes. Everybody can take it. It's just a matter of how much you need to take. Start small. Start with a half a serving, or a kid, start with a teaspoon. Put it in water. It's a powder. You mix in water. It's a powder. You mix in water. You can get it that way, or you can do a little bit of a packet like this, and
A little coffee.
Shake it up and you drink it. I like it on ice. I like a little bit more water in it. That's the way I like it. So it's pretty special, and it's helping a lot of people, which I'm excited about.
I'm kind of digging the coconut LaCroix. And
yeah, that's good too.
And there's a lot of recipes and everything on the website too. And there's so much on the website. I mean, there's just so much excellent information that beyond what you and we have talked about tonight. So go on the website, get yours. You have the opportunity to check it out. But I'm telling you right now, if you only check it out for a week and that's all you purchase, you're going to be pretty bummed out when it's gone. Because I'll tell you, like a crackhead, we were in withdrawal when we were out of hours for those few days because we didn't buy enough. We were trying it. Hey, you know, it was new science. But the two of us, and my husband has lost about 15 pounds in about 2.5, almost 3 weeks now. So he's pretty happy. The inflammation, I had some neck surgery, I've had some shoulder surgery, so even though the fibromyalgia went away, I still have kind of my aches and pains, those types of things, but not anymore. So in the morning, I just do mine in the morning, and I'm good for the day. People are like, what are you on? You know, I'm seriously probably going to get drug tested at work because I fly around like a kid, and I have endless energy, and I'm just like, this is the best thing ever. So you guys got to get yourself some. You got to feel it. You got to feel what it's like to be in that native zone, and you can prove it to yourself by peeing on a stick, and you get yourself some ketone sticks, and you'll be able to see it. But you won't even need that validation. Trust me when I tell you, you will know in an hour that you are there, and there's no place like there as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure you guys would agree. So what I want to do now is just say that when you get your Keto OS, and only when you get your Keto OS, and this is going to be valid for about 36 hours and it's going to go away, you're going to have the opportunity to win the cookbook by Maria Emmerich and Jimmy Moore. And I actually took it out of my office today. But Maria Emmerich and Jimmy Moore wrote a fabulous cookbook on ketogenic cooking. So if you wanted to kind of get into the lifestyle, because you will be able to, I think, when you take this product, your cravings go away, and you want more of what you're feeling, I think, and you don't want a lot of things that you thought you could never live without. So if you want the cookbook, make sure you get yours, and I will be able to then get your email and your contact information. It will go in a drawing, and one lucky winner will get a signed copy of that cookbook. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let me give you a little, I think I can show you right here. Sorry. Unfortunately, I have to actually look up to show this stuff to you, which is kind of rude. There you go. There it is. So you want to win the book. There'll also be an option for a second chance entry, but you have to get your Keto OS. You have to go on the Keto File, I'm going to put it up again, the Keto File Nation website, and you're going to post hashtag Prove It Now. So when you do that, I'm going to know you're part of the challenge. There's going to be an additional cookbook up for grabs, so make sure that you do that. Dustin, Eric, do you guys have anything that you want to add before we go? Health coaches, doctors, I think if you want to contact us and have a private conversation about what this could do for you and for your clients or your patients, then please reach out to me. It's biohackingwellness@gmail.com, and Dustin or myself will personally reach out and have a conversation about how we can help you get your patients and clients on the road to health. You can't miss out on this, guys. Train is coming fast, and you want to hop on it. Dustin, anything else you guys can think of?
Yeah, this is what I close everybody is I try to live by example, and I think we all do, especially you practitioners. You want to be the example for the people you care about the most, the people that you love the most. If you're skeptical, that's great. Be a skeptic. Go do your research. There's nothing like this on the market, and when I say that everybody needs it, I completely mean that. And it's just about how we get it into their system. And share this product, please. If it's not for you, for whatever reason, you didn't like the taste of it, I don't care. It could taste like dirt and I'd drink it, but
it does.
But it doesn't. It tastes like an orange cream. So it's really good. But please do me a favor, is that somebody that you care about desperately needs this for something that you don't even understand. You don't know that somebody's depressed. You don't know that somebody's going to get ready to maybe leave their spouse because they just can't stand they're just overwhelmed with life. And literally, I've watched people's relationships change overnight because they're just calm, just relaxed. Things just weren't a big deal. Things got easier. And so there's a huge opportunity behind this. It's been life-changing for me as taking the product, but also sharing the product. So really, just look at it, do your research if you need to, try it, commit to at least 30 days. I don't even like to sample people. Give 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and give this an experience and let it truly have an impact on your life.
And we're going to stay connected with the science. We are going back to Tampa in June. And again, for healthcare providers or health coaches in the Florida area or even outside of the Florida area, if you want a nice little vacation, the doctors are coming back for another Keto Academy in June. I believe it's the 17th and the 18th, and it's going to be right in Tampa. So take a nice vacation down to Florida. Hear the science from Dr. Dominic D'Agostino, Dr. Angela Poff, Ryan Lowry, Dr. Jacob Wilson. Dr. Volek is going to be there again for this visit. And then we have two special guests. Who are the special guests?
Well, we have a couple special guests, and we're going to keep it that way. We're going to keep it special. We're not going to pass that on yet. And we actually are a couple more that I'm working on that will also be announced soon. But we're going to keep it special because we want to create curiosity. We want people to come. But honestly, with the staff the guys that are coming right now, it's life changing. If you haven't experienced anything like this in your life, if you haven't seen what it can do, truly that event will change your life. We have another cool event in San Diego in May 13th that will be unbelievable. It's called Optimize, and you're going to get to hear from even some of these people already on May 13th, and then back in Tampa in June 17th. So I'm excited to be part of all of it, and Eric, I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to doing this again very, very soon.
Me too. You know what I think we can help some people with, Dustin, and maybe you'll agree with me, is for those people who, obviously, I eat a ketogenic diet and I take the product because it just gets me, like Dustin said, to the place I couldn't get to on my own because of my insulin resistance. I am insulin resistant. It's like saying I am an alcoholic. I don't know if it will ever go away, but now I've managed it. But I think that maybe we can do some more on what a real ketogenic diet looks like from an eating standpoint at some point, and we'll definitely come back and do this again.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you guys very much. It was great spending the night with you, and can't wait to see you guys again in June. Eric, I can't wait to see you in June because I haven't seen you yet in person.
Absolutely.
Shake your hand, my man. That's my man right there. And I will talk to you guys later. This is Sandra Miller, Biohacking Wellness. Go check out some articles because, you know, to be optimal, you need some vitamin D and all that good stuff too. www.biohackingwellness.com. I will see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the replay.